Do you want to have more money in your account? We've all made financial mistakes before, but what if I told you that by following a specific lifestyle, I was able to completely avoid some major costly financial errors? In this video, we'll talk about mistakes that many people make every day, mistakes that could be costing you hundreds, maybe even thousands of euros or dollars each year. And of course, we'll also discuss how to avoid these financial pitfalls, so stay tuned. Welcome to my channel. My name is Jasmine and I'm a singer-songwriter. I've been living a minimalist lifestyle for more than 6 years now. As a minimalist, there is one thing you don't place much value on, and that saves you a lot of money. And what exactly that is, we're about to find out. Overconsumption. We live in a society where shopping is a leisure activity for many people, maybe even a hobby. But does it truly make us happy? A recent study titled "If Money Does Make You Happy, Then You're Spending It Wrong" came to a different conclusion. The researchers found that experiences make us significantly happier than material things. When you buy something new, the joy you feel often lasts only a short time. But when you go on a trip or have another meaningful experience, the memories last for years, sometimes even a lifetime. If that's hard to imagine, try this little experiment. Take some older clothes out of your closet. Do you still remember the joy you felt when you bought them? Or do memories of certain experiences come back more easily? Maybe a trip, or a moment when you were really proud of yourself for accomplishing something. Advertisements and special offers constantly lure us into the consumption trap. And most of the time, we're not even aware of how much we've actually spent on shopping over the years. Over time, these expenses can add up, not just to hundreds, but even thousands. And for what? For the brief rush you feel when you buy a new shirt? Let me tell you this from someone who used to be a shopping addict. The price for that short-lived thrill is incredibly high, and I'm no longer willing to pay it. Because the money you spend isn't just missing from your bank account, it costs you something far more valuable. What that is, we'll talk about in a moment. But first, let's discuss something that affects all of us and is crucial to your finances. Housing. Germany is facing a shortage of up to 800,000 homes. Rent prices are skyrocketing in many cities, and some people spend years searching for an affordable place to live. This isn't a political channel, so we won't go into the causes of this crisis, but we will talk about some solutions that might help you personally mitigate the impact of this issue. I'll also share how we saved 50,000 euros with a single housing decision. But first, let's start from the beginning. As a minimalist, you regularly get rid of unnecessary things, because you know that everything you own isn't just something you have to clean and organize, you also have to store it. That means you need furniture and you need living space. The more you own, the more space you need, and that means the things you own directly impact your finances, even if they're just sitting around. If you don't have them, you might be able to live in a cheaper home. But is housing scarcity so severe in your area that downsizing isn't an option? In that case, a new housing trend might be a solution for you. Before we get into that, please subscribe to the channel so you don't miss anything in the future, and together we'll simplify your life. Tiny homes. More and more people are choosing to build tiny houses, small homes with very little living space. The advantage? Compared to traditional houses, they're significantly cheaper, making them more affordable for a large number of people. Some even come as prefabricated homes. That means they're delivered by truck and assembled on your property in no time. This doesn't just save you stress, it also shortens construction time and reduces the financial burden of paying rent and mortgage at the same time. The downside? The term tiny isn't an exaggeration. If you want to make a project like this work, you'll have to downsize, especially when it comes to your belongings. Otherwise, it simply doesn't work. But this can be incredibly rewarding. A few years ago, we built our home. Not a tiny house, but still small and manageable. We deliberately chose not to have a basement. We knew that this meant we'd have to be disciplined when it came to our possessions. But this decision saved us 15,000 euros in one go. Before we discuss what your consumption costs you beyond just money, let's go over a few hidden financial traps that might be affecting you as well. Subscriptions. Streaming services or gym memberships. Subscriptions can add up quickly and often we don't even use them as much as we think. But your bank account doesn't care. The money still gets deducted. That's why it's worth going over your subscriptions as well as your banking fees. Switching your bank account can be an annoying thing, but it can save you a significant amount of money. The same goes for insurance and your electricity provider. There's another major factor that can have a massive impact on your financial situation, but it's often overlooked. Neighborhood. When the book The Millionaire Next Door was published, it was the most extensive study ever conducted on the habits of millionaires, and its findings were groundbreaking. What comes to mind when you hear the word millionaire? Take a moment, close your eyes, and let the images come to you. What did you see? Lamborghini? A yacht? Champagne and designer clothes? Wrong, wrong, and wrong again. That at least is what Thomas Stanley and William Danko found in their study. The image I just described actually only applies to a tiny fraction of millionaires. The vast majority behave very differently. They are frugal, they work hard, and if you passed them on the street, you probably wouldn't even recognize them as millionaires. So why do so many Hollywood movies give us a completely different image? Probably because real millionaires live lives that are far too boring to make an exciting movie about. According to this study, a typical millionaire might be the owner of a trailer park or a small chain of shoe stores. Not exactly glamorous. But what does this have to do with your neighbors? A lot. In wealthy, expensive neighborhoods, there is often social pressure to maintain a certain lifestyle. This lifestyle is linked to high consumption and high expenses. Because you want to fit in, you end up spending more money on status symbols like cars or clothing. If you live in a more affordable neighborhood, you'll usually find it easier to save money. And that brings us to the core of minimalism. Minimalism means investing your money in things that truly matter to you. Your environment shouldn't dictate your spending, your heart should. Don't try to impress others. At the end of the day, it's not designer clothing that makes you happy. Don't fall into the same trap as many others who believe that having more will make them happier. That's a myth. Research on happiness has long since disproved this idea. Wait, happiness research? Yes, there are actually scientists dedicated to studying what makes us happy, and here are some of their key findings. What really matters. Over the last few decades, happiness research has provided valuable insight into how wealth and material possessions affect our well-being. So, do we become happier when we own more? The answer is yes and no. Up to a certain income level, one that covers our basic needs and allows for a comfortable life, we do become happier as our income increases. But once we reach this standard, additional wealth has little to no impact on our happiness. The concept is known as income saturation. We also adapt quickly to material possessions. After a short time, we see our new status as the new norm, and our happiness level often returns to where it was before the purchase. Simply put, once the shopping thrill fades, the new item becomes just another thing, and everything feels the same as before. What does make us unhappy, however, is comparing ourselves to others, especially if they seem to have more than we do. Even if we are financially well off, this comparison can make us feel dissatisfied. On the other hand, people who engage in social causes and help others report higher levels of happiness than those who don't. A growing movement in happiness research suggests that consciously reducing possessions and focusing on what truly matters lead to a happier life. And where does that bring us? Right back to minimalism. Before we wrap up, let's answer the question from the beginning of this video. What does excessive consumption cost you beyond money? The answer is simple: your freedom. You trade your precious time for money to earn a salary, and in your free time you have to take care of the things you own. Every item you buy costs you a small piece of your freedom, so think carefully about what you allow into your life. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up, and most importantly, come back next time. I'd love to see you again. Until then, all the best, Jasmine.